All right, my beautiful friends, welcome back to All Cars Reacts. It is time to continue our brand new mini-series on the compact luxury cars of the mid to late 2000s. Largely trying to go through these in alphabetical order. This is number 2. We did the Audi A4. This is the BMW 3 Series. This is in 2006. They came out with a new model, the new generation, the E90, as I recall. And well, it'll be interesting to see how this compares with the somewhat newer Audi that we did. I like BMWs, and I mentioned in the Audi video that I think while sometimes their styling can be controversial, I think that it ages unbelievably well. You can go back to the 80s and BMWs still look good, and you would still be respected driving one. If you know what I mean, there's no embarrassment in driving an old BMW, you know? So this is going to be an interesting one. And well, I think the 3 Series is kind of the standard to which everything else is going to be measured against. They had a ton of 3 Series to do. They had convertibles and 2 doors, a diesel, everything else. But I wanted to do this one to get us started, the 328. So as always, make yourself comfortable in your comfy chair. You and I are just going to sit down and chat like two old friends. Grab your beverage of choice. We are working with some half calf here this morning, and let's see what Motorweek said about it.
Like a well-seasoned athlete primed for competition, the 5th generation BMW 3 Series storms into 2006, all ready to defend its title as the quintessential sports sedan. With streamlined aggression and more power and performance, the 3 is clearly stronger than ever. So much so that there may be no competition at all.
Streamlined aggression. Who is reading from a press release today?
In the auto world, when you achieve iconic status, those who put you there will accept nothing less than rolling perfection. That's the challenge facing the all-new 2006 BMW 3 Series. And the 5th generation of the world's best-known sports sedan meets that challenge head-on, starting with styling. Inspired by the 5 Series, tighter lines, improved aerodynamics, and sharper sheet metal achieve a fresher but still characteristic look. The 325i wears 16-inch wheels, while the 330i dons 17s. The Sport package adds 17-inch wheels on the 325i and 18s on the 330i. All trade in the spare tire for standard high-performance run-flat tires. These rear-wheel drive sedans
before we go on to the engines, let's go back here and take a look at this thing. I think this is a great looking car. Again, I don't want to harp on it too much, but I think BMW, they're so iconic. They get a lot of criticism. People really nitpicking. But then you look back and I think if you go through the history of the 3 Series, almost every one of them looks fantastic. You can argue they got porky, they got fat, they whatever, but I still think they look good. And I really like the looks of this. I've said many times, if I was in the market for this class of car, I could see myself owning a BMW very happily. As a matter of fact, I'd be proud to have it in the front yard. I'd be, thrilled to be seen in it, and I'd be proud of the car overall. And every BMW I've ever driven is just one of the sweetest driving machines. It's amazing to me how they have this alchemy to make their cars just feel so good. But there's some other things I think I'd rather have usually, and it's like a 1-2 ranking, if you know what I mean. So I can see people being a little critical of this, but I do feel this is a massaging of the design language from the previous generation. I think some of the treatment right there at the hood over the headlights, I don't love it, but it's amazing how reserved, how conservative this car is. Compare that to the Audi we just did, which looked a little more bloated to me in terms of the styling, but crisp and new and fresh and leading the way. Well, this looks just like a update of the previous ones to my mind. credit to BMW for changing it, making it look fresh, but keeping the continuity. You have to go, sometimes you have to go back generations to see the changes. I love this car. I really do. That's what I'm trying to say here. It's the Pontiac grille on it, which admittedly Pontiac stole it from them, but you compare what Audi was doing to this, and this just looks older fashioned, but it still looks crisp and taut and purposeful. I love it. From a styling perspective, would I pick it over the Audi? I don't know. Depends on what you were going for. Let's look at the engines.
These rear-wheel drive sedans are turned by two versions of BMW's latest 3-liter twin-cam 24-valve inline-six using a magnesium and aluminum composite block for the first time. In 325i series form, it delivers 215 horsepower and 185 pound-feet of torque. Output in the 330i is 255 horsepower and 220 pound-feet of torque. Transmissions are all 6 speeds, a standard manual and optional Steptronic automatic for both, plus a sequential manual gearbox for the 330i.
I understand that some BMW engines can be troublesome, finicky, but others I think have been wonderfully reliable. I have no real problem with these engines, except to say that base 3-liter barely beats the 2-liter 4-cylinder in the Audi and drastically misses it on the torque. The Audi made 211 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque. And then this, the bigger V6, the Audi still beats it with its 3.2-liter. This is more efficient. I think it's more efficient, but the Audi beat this hands down. Let's see what they say.
Do these dueling sixes stack up? Well, our test 325i automatic will sprint from 0 to 60 in a none too shabby 7.2 seconds. The manual will do it in 6.7 seconds, while the 330i manual comes in at 6.1 seconds. The variable valve timing 6 revved willingly to redline, delivering fine high-end power after a sluggish leap off the line. The exhaust note is low, but there's still a growl. There's nothing but praise for the response of the chassis. New to the 3 Series is a double pivot strut front and 5-link rear suspension. That configuration is well suited to a car with a 50-50 front to rear weight balance. Reaction is rapid in any lane change or emergency situation. So quick that most drivers will welcome assistance from the expanded dynamic stability control. Steering feel is heavier than its predecessor, but in a totally sporting way. Optional is BMW's active steering system with a wider variable ratio. While there is also less feedback, it can reduce oversteer in emergencies. The all-vented disc brakes also score well, with stops from 60 averaging 129 feet. The larger disc delivered smooth and stable stops with great pedal feel and little ABS pulsing.
Wow. Lot to talk about there real quick. Acceleration was kind of here. It was in the same ballpark as the Audi, for example. One part of it seemed a little slower, but by the time you got to the bigger engine with a manual, it was a little faster. So the Audi would have been really competitive with all this. Stopping, the Audi did 127. This is 129. So the Audi, the not sporty option, slightly better. And let's face it, if you've got 2009 SUVs doing it in 125-ish, this is a slightly underwhelming example of braking. I'm so surprised. I thought this would do it in an incredible amount. Ended up being longer than the front heavy Audi, but through the slalom. Oh, that was just beautiful. Oh, wow, that was a masterpiece. From the body roll to the way it's set, to the way it flowed through it, or even the quick lane change. I've talked about this so much. You can watch the tail of the car. Does it want to flip out, or does it tuck right behind it? And this just tucked beautifully. Ooh, the feel of driving this. So we can do what journalists do that I hate, which is pick at the numbers a little bit. Like, oh, this is 0.2 of a second slower than the Audi, and it stops in 2 feet longer. Is it really? No. Behind the wheel, this is going to give you the feel you want. I think I am massively impressed overall. Pick at the numbers, legitimately, massively impressed.
In the bump and grind of daily driving, the 325i delivers a firm yet sporty and compliant ride, exhibiting excellent interior noise control. The new 3 Series interior is 2.2 cubic feet larger, and standard burl walnut trims the cabin, yet the look is more functional than fancy. Buyers can choose from the standard single hood driver-oriented instrument panel or optional dual hood version with room for a simpler to use navigation iDrive display. 2 audio systems fit the 3 Series. Standard for the 325i is a 10-speaker dual subwoofer CD MP3 stereo. Optional to our test car and standard on the 330i is a 13-speaker Logic 7 system. Shared standards are tilt telescoping leather-wrapped wheel with audio controls, cruise control, start push-button ignition, and 2-way power moonroof. At the back, passengers will welcome the slightly better knee room, but it's still a tight fit. The optional split and fold seat backs include a small trunk pass-through. And trunk space is also up from 10.7 cubic feet to 12. Plus, losing the spare adds a storage bin under the load floor. What's left? Well, how about the
Okay. Interiors. I am very schizophrenic when it comes to BMW interiors, because on the one hand, they use very high quality plastics. I love the more simple, Germanic, purposeful design of it. BMW does what is really kind of a boring interior, but it still looks good. Everyone else tries to do something that's more, right? More style, more chrome, more whatever it happens to be, more accents. And BMW manages to make it work. When you get in one, there's no surprises, the black and the tan, and it just works, and it's a good place to be. However, if you step back from loving BMWs, there's a lot to complain about here. And it's all minor stuff, but little things like those tiny little buttons on the radio, little knobs, excuse me, lots of little buttons. Everything's organized horizontally. It's fine. But if you were being very honest and you looked at this and said, does this have better ergonomics than a Honda Accord? The answer is no. And, part of this is the back seat. It's not terrible, and it is a smaller car. You could get better from a Civic or an Accord, but that's not why people buy it. I get that. 12 cubic feet, it's up from 10. My gosh, 12 cubic feet for the trunk. That's on the small side too. This is an expensive small car, is what it boils down to. You're basically getting an engine. But interior, I think it's good looking. I think that we're going to see a lot of interiors that I get a lot more excited about, a lot more emotional about. This is purposeful. I'm just pointing out that if we're honest, ergonomics are not the best in the world. They're not terrible, but I think BMW gets a lot of passes because of how good it is at some other things. That's what I'm trying to say. Let's look at the price.
Price tag. Base for the 325i is $31,595. The 330i asks $37,295. Higher than competitors like the Infiniti G35 to be sure, but then this is the one true 3 Series. The 2006 BMW 3 Series keeps evolving, improving, and staying ahead of its rivals in the two things the brand is most noted for: technology and driving feel. The new 3 Series is still the affordable sports sedan benchmark, and still without peers.
So those prices actually are less expensive at the starting point than the Audi. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of options that can flip this around from a value proposition, but the fact is the base model here is $2,000 less than the Audi. Is the Audi worth $2,000 more dollars? Ooh, I don't think so. So what to say about this? Well, the first thing to say is I was wrong. This is not next alphabetically. I totally and completely forgot there's an Acura out there I want to try to do. So I might drop back and do that one next. Forgive me for skipping to the next letter in the alphabet. But, you know, when I think about this kind of class of car, there's basically three different things I think. And literally from day to day, my opinion can change. Would I drive this car? Absolutely. Would I love it? Absolutely. Because BMWs have a very special feel. And short of moving up to sports cars, there's nothing quite like a BMW in terms of how they feel and how they handle. And there are days I want that. There's days I want a BMW out there and I want to be driving and I want the feel of it. Then there's other days I really want to focus on the luxury. I don't care about the sportiness so much. I want competent handling, controlled, composed, but I want to be pampered inside. And then there's the third one, which is, well, kind of, I hate to say it, value for the money. I want to be pampered and I want a little bit of good handling and I want a good environment in a car that I'm just legitimately comfortable in and comfortable that it's going to last me. Think of the Lexus ES or an Acura TL or a Volvo, okay? Something like that, where you can still have a composed ride, but you're really being more pampered and a little more emphasis on the reliability side of it. That's not to say that a BMW or Mercedes or an Infiniti can't be reliable, but you get the idea. There's the Toyota-based luxury, there's Mercedes luxury, and there's BMW sport luxury. So do I love this car? Absolutely. It's among my favorite cars. And depending on the day, I want a BMW. The next day, you know what? I don't. I'd rather have a Mercedes. So where does this rank for me? Well, we've only done two. For the price, I think I'd rather have it over the Audi. But if I was in a slightly different state of mind from today, the style and the interior and the luxury of the Audi, I'd rather have it. So it's going to be exciting to see what the other options offer and how this all kind of shakes out for me. And I want you to be playing along with me. Think about this as well. Where are your preferences? What are your tastes? And if money was not the object and you could afford one, of course, is this your top choice or not? You've got to respect the BMW. That's what I'm trying to say. But whether it's my number one choice kind of depends on the day. Thanks so much for spending a few minutes with me here today. This was a fun one. Small car.